Hi everyone, this is Renee from the iPhone blog. We're at WWDC 2010 and I am with Glasshouse Apps and with Graham Clark and Nick Takayama. How's it going, guys?
Hi, good.
Awesome.
So I was first familiar with you on the iPhone with wine and coffee based applications. You do Cellar and
Barista?
Barista, absolutely. So when you told me about your iPad app, it was non-obvious to me because you didn't do a beverage based iPad app at all.
No, well, I mean, it's not a long bow to draw to, to have a newspaper open when you're drinking a coffee, so...
Or mulling a glass of wine.
That's right, yeah, so it's still in the same ballpark.
So this was basically filling a need. You had your coffee, you had your wine, and you wanted something to do while you were enjoying them.
That's right, absolutely.
So, Nick mentioned this before, that the idea of an RSS, and for people who aren't familiar, it's the early edition, and it is an RSS reader that kind of frames it in a newspaper. And you said that you were kind of surprised it didn't already exist. It was like a natural fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the iPad was coming out and we thought this is the perfect application to create. And we didn't know if anyone else was going to make anything like that. So we said, we'll put our hat in the ring and, try to do our best job and produce something that we want to use and love.
And yet you didn't even have an iPad to do it on. It was all simulator based, right? You were basically coding with one arm behind your back.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wild west to an extent, but it's good fun and it's a great device. So, I mean, we'd seen the demos, everyone had seen it, and we all thought it was going to be a fantastic thing. So, what better time to jump on a platform?
And as a designer, how was it trying to adapt what you've done on the iPhone to like the bigger screen UI concept?
I just really was excited about the iPad because it just that extra screen real estate and the larger canvas just opened up much more opportunities to be creative and just kind of push that app to the next level. Not having to have so many screens to flow between. You've just got this canvas that you can just really do what you like.
And the metaphor for the newspaper works really well because we're used to holding a big wide newspaper in our hands with multiple columns and multiple stories.
Yeah, that's right. And I've got a background in print design, so it just seemed like a really natural fit to kind of take that approach.
So I can ask you all those questions about, because Apple's been showing a lot of stuff and they're getting a lot of flack from the typographers saying that they're having far too much gutters and ugly alignment. Is that a challenge on a device like the iPad when you're flowing content that you don't always, you have no idea what it's going to be when you put it in the app?
Sure. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I've already kind of had those issues to deal with in web design as well because that's a digital format.
Yeah.
And I've kind of worked with print and web for a long time, so... but the advantage of the iPad is that you're not kind of having to deal with multiple browsers and platforms that it's being viewed on like the web. So to a large extent you can really predict what it's going to come out like.
Right, and you have the big story on the top, then you have the columns, and you can actually scroll the text within the columns. Which is kind of nice because almost gives you a little sneak peek before you decide to click through.
Yeah. That was basically the idea. It's like some apps give you a little tiny preview, and we wanted to be able to give you that, but also be able to dig in a little bit more without having to fill the whole screen with the article. So.
Now, I've mentioned before, a pet peeve of mine is I love the idea of Google Reader Sync. It's obviously the gorilla in the business, but a lot of apps they make you wait while they sync. And sometimes the sync isn't so smooth, I have to exit the app and come back. But you're doing more of an import now where the feeds come into your app and then after that it's just instant.
Yeah. I mean, we always wanted to have an app that stood alone by itself without having to rely on somebody else's service. And so we're really trying to maintain that experience and then build in the rest of it.
All right, so early edition, everyone had to get their apps out on the app store. You got it there day one, so you obviously didn't sleep or drink or do anything for months. So now that you have time, are you planning to move it forward?
Oh, we've got some great plans for the early edition. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, we've just put 1.1 out there, and that was a fairly hefty release, but yeah, we've got more plans in the future as well.
Is the feedback you've gotten from users, is it surprised you at all? Are they asking for features that you thought they wouldn't want, or is there stuff they're asking for you thought they maybe shouldn't be asking for?
there's always going to be a range of requests, but we've found that the requests tend to be grouped into, you know, a handful of general ideas that yeah, it's quite unusual to get a request each day that is something completely new. So after having had so much feedback, so you know, we've had over 2,500 emails to us to make suggestions or just tell us people are loving the app. So we've got a pretty good idea of what people think.
All right, so we're gonna stay tuned for more early edition.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my last question is, you're at WWDC, the big news was the new iPhone. What do you think of it?
I love it. I mean, I haven't even touched the thing, and just, you know, looking at the beautiful screen and all of the new features that they're bringing out in it. I mean, some of it's incremental, but it just, I want it. That's what Apple does best, right?
I think you want stuff.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you've done print before, and one of the big features here is this Retina display is close to, I mean, color printing is much more forgiving than black and white printing, and you're getting a 300 plus DPI now, which for color is pretty good.
This is really like a bit of a milestone. I've always dealt with the two resolutions of print resolution and screen resolution, and this is like, all of a sudden it's the same thing. So yeah, it's a huge milestone for Apple.
Yeah, and like many designers, are you silently cursing that you now have to do all your art again?
There's so much work involved, yeah. So yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right. Well, at least now the Pixel Double version on the iPad will not look, you know, too chunky, right?
It'll be beautiful. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. This is Glasshouse Apps and the early edition for the iPad, and we're at WWDC 2010.